This story is absolutely amazing. So my boy, the absolute GOAT, Tiger Woods, turned down nearly $1 billion.
Everyone is praising Tiger for turning down $1 billion. Well, $500 million to $1 billion. But let's be real. Tiger just pulled out of the PGA Championship after a poor third round. He couldn't finish the fourth round. Is he even physically capable of playing golf anymore? More than a few times a year? Maybe that's why he turned down the $1 billion.
Woods turned down a deal that was mind-blowingly enormous. We're talking about high 9 digits, Live Golf Investments Commissioner and Chief Executive Greg Norman told the Washington Post.
If you remember the 90s, Greg Norman also wanted to start a tour to have a bunch of superstars travel around. The PGA crushed his dreams then, but now he's back. And if you remember, maybe 2 months ago, he actually looked in the camera and said, "This is not over, PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan," something like that.
Despite not attracting Woods, Liv has signed on talent including Phil Mickelson, who was the second best player to Tiger throughout their generation and their era. Phil's now 51 years old, by the way.
It was at this point I started wondering if Kyle actually knew anything about golf. He points out that Phil Mickelson is 51 years old, but fails to mention that he won the PGA Championship at age 50 a year ago.
They gave Phil $200 million.
$200 million is a little something for the old sweet tooth, if you know what I mean.
Dustin Johnson, with a reported $125 million.
Fun fact, Tiger Woods has made $124 million, $1 million less than DJ in this deal, over his entire career.
Right now he's ranked like about 13th in the world.
He's ranked 15th. You couldn't spend 2 seconds to Google that, Kyle?
Live Golf has come under fire for being backed by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, given the 2018 killing of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, who was critical of the Saudi regime. U.S. intelligence has deemed Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as having backed the move to take out Khashoggi, you don't say, in the Saudi embassy in Turkey.
It's at this point Kyle does a little bit of the old Phil bashing. Okay, we get it. But interestingly, Kyle turns a blind eye to what the old U.S. government's been doing in Saudi Arabia. Go figure.
We know they killed Khashoggi and have a horrible record on human rights. They execute people over there for being gay, he said. Knowing all this, why would I even consider it? Because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reshape how the PGA Tour operates.
Maybe the PGA Tour should use this as food for thought and figure out why do so many PGA Tour players dislike how it operates so much.
Let me break this down for everybody. Saudi Arabia is engaged in what's called sports washing. The idea is, how do we appeal to a broad audience and basically whitewash our human rights record? They are involved in a genocide in Yemen, with the help of the U.S. government, by the way, because we give them money and we give them weapons. Now they want to get involved in golf. Now, golf typically is viewed as, like an elite sport, right? Like, it costs a decent amount of money to play it. A lot of wealthy people play it. It hasn't always been like that. Back in the day, it was actually working class to one extent or another. Now it's more viewed as an elite sport.
Kyle starts to really go off the rails here. It's actually the opposite. Back in the day, golf was more of an elite sport. You gotta watch Caddyshack, remember that it's basically a bunch of snobs. But now it's for the everyman. There's plenty of courses you can play for $20 or $30, which, if you break it down per the hour rate, is actually cheaper than watching one of these overpriced movies.
There's some things that I really don't like about how it works. For one thing, if you miss the cut in an event, you make no money. So you could be a professional golfer and just not make any money for like a whole year if you're not playing well and you miss all the cuts. So you could really go into the red if that's the case. I never liked that about professional golf. I think just the fact that you show up and you're working, if this is your job, they should at least give them a stipend so that they could, however you say it, so they can pay their bills.
Kyle, let me help you out.
Stipend.
Again.
Stipend.
Stipend. And you know what kind of stipend the Live Golf Tour is giving? Last place in the 48-man field will still walk away with 120 grand. No cut.
I never liked that. But in other ways, it's good because it's a meritocracy. And like, the better you do, the more you make, the further you go.
Way to immediately double back, Kyle. Double back to that little safe iceberg that's slowly melting away. Golf is different than a lot of the other sports where, yeah, it's still meritocracy based, but you get compensated in terms of bonuses. You don't step on the football field and only get paid if you win. It's It's ridiculous.
But there's massive income inequality and wealth inequality in the PGA Tour, where the top 15 or 20 players make all the money in the world, and the person who's ranked like 125 on the PGA Tour is probably, barely getting by.
At 125 on last year's money list, I think Adam Svensson making 750 grand almost is not just barely getting by. And let's not forget that on top of that, he's got corporate sponsors paying him to wear odd golf shirts, hats, pants, shoes.
The problem with Phil Mickelson is there's been reporting that he's got about $40 million in gambling debt.
Kyle, Google this. There are many years that Phil Mickelson is one of the highest paid athletes in the world, clearing $40 million. First, maybe confirm that this is actually true, that you're not just throwing more rumors out there. And then second, realize that Phil got gajong change.
And so he blew through the colossal amount of money that he had, and now he's looking for a quick payday, and he's taking blood money to do it.
Kyle, you're going a little hard in the paint right now. Don't think you have the facts.
They could just deflect and hide all of the human rights abuses if they give people the entertainment that they want.
They could be referring to a lot of countries now, couldn't it, Kyle?
So, look, the PGA Tour is in a little bit of a bind right now.
I would say the PGA Tour is in a little more than just a little bind right now. They tried to be tough guy, strong arm, our way or the highway, and now the players are leaving in droves. Also going soon, Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed. Actually, Patrick Reed's a good riddance. And I've read that even Ricky Fowler, he's basically the kid golfer next door forever that everyone loves, is heading over there too.
Because, if you win on the PGA Tour, maybe you make $1 million.
More like 1.5 million.
If you win on this Saudi back tour, you're going to make $4 million. The other thing is, there's really no guaranteed money on the PGA Tour at all. The Saudi Tour threw $200 million at Phil Mickelson, threw $125 million at Dustin Johnson. They offered Tiger guaranteed between $500 million and $1 billion.
Kyle, you've basically just explained why it would be insane not to go play in the Live Golf Tour.
Now, by the way, why did Tiger reject it? Now, I think Tiger's the GOAT. I love him to death, but I gotta keep it real with you guys. He didn't do it for moral reasons. He didn't. The reason why he did it is because he's at the end of his career. His entire legacy is on the PGA Tour. And everybody wants to be able to compare apples to apples when they look at records.
This is the part where the whole analysis gets real crazy, Kyle. There's a good chance Tiger's not going to ever win again. His record's set. He's a few total wins behind Sam Snead. He's a few majors behind Jack Nicklaus. But he still gets to play in the majors. So here you've just gone off into, I really don't know much about golf land.
So, it's hard to put in context how good somebody was if you can't measure it up against something that's equivalent.
This is like analyzing Jordan in his last season on the Washington Wizards. He's already won his NBA championships. If China at that point wanted to give him $1 billion, do you think he's going to say, hey, I need to pad my legacy some more?
So a record on the PGA Tour compared to a record on the PGA Tour makes perfect sense. But to compare it to this Live Golf thing, where the average world ranking right now for people who are there is like 350-something or whatever.
Kyle, they're getting tons of the top 20 players in the world. However you want to weigh it down to make it look like they're getting lesser tier players, it doesn't work. Also, the fact that you'll be one of the top players against players who probably aren't going to win, isn't that even more of an incentive? If you're a top 50 player in the world to go play on the Live Golf Tour? Makes sense, bro.
That's not really an apples-to-apples comparison. So he came out, he said, look, I believe in the way the system works right now. I'm loyal to the PGA Tour, and this is where my legacy is.
It's also at Waffle House. You don't turn down $1 billion for your legacy when it's already set.
The list of the people who signed up for the first event were like the biggest sellouts. The ones who have like zero morality and zero ethics, and they would literally take fucking money from Goebbels in 1938 or Hitler himself in 1938. I'm just a golfer.
Did you forget that in 1936, at the Berlin 1936, the Olympics held in Berlin, that Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals by attending? Sometimes you do more good in showing up and making changes than laying back and criticizing.
But now, And this is what's going to happen. As time goes by, more and more PGA Tour players are going to hop over to the Live Tour.
Yes, all because Phil Mickelson decided to be the first space monkey launched into the atmosphere, making it possible for future golfers to go play on the Live Golf Tour.